Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you taking the time. We are very excited here to launch what we are calling Colombia Traffic Network. And this is a native ads platform that first time, Times is taking a step towards that. And we're very excited to have you all on board to witness this. So this was the Times and Center platform that we had launched last year. And it was a lot focused on audience-based targeting. It was based a lot around how do we do a unified buying platform for Times. This time what we've done is we've taken it one step further and said, okay, what's happening out there which is massive and it's native. And so what we've done is we're calling it the Colombia Traffic Network, which is essentially a native ads platform. This is going to be available across mobile, across display. As you guys are aware, we have probably the largest premium native inventory out there. So it's very exciting times for us to participate in what something's been going on in the industry for a long time, at least in the US side of things. The principal parts of this launch is going to be content ads, product ads, and app ads. So what we're doing is we're taking the movement from banner and evolving it into native, and these three will be our principal source of distribution. I just want to take a minute to just explain what sort of ad formats are out there that you can expect from us. We are very excited to share with all the agencies, all the partners, various ad formats in native. Principally, they'll be in two parts. One is the in-stream ad formats, which are essentially, you see as part of the content reading cycle, and one is the end of page. These ad formats, obviously, as you're aware, be it Facebook, be it Rand would tell you about Taboola. A lot of the leaders out there have done a great job in sort of taking these ad formats and generating tremendous amounts of performance for various advertisers across genres. So this is sort of the two high-level sort of ad formats that you will see. In terms of what is being offered, I mean, just like any other ad platform, there will be an advertiser view. So the advertiser gets the scale, that obviously comes being Times Internet, and sort of the other aspect is the transparency. So once you have scale and transparency for a performance, sort of a delivery that we're looking at, I think this should be very exciting as we launch this into this quarter. The other side of the equation obviously is the publisher view. We obviously have a lot of properties both in mobile and desktop, and beyond is what we are looking this quarter. So we are not just looking at within from the Times Internet perspective. We're trying to see if we can take this outside. From a publisher's perspective, and we being a publisher ourselves, a lot of control is something that this platform offers to you. Obviously yield. I mean, yield has been the principal reason why all the native ad platforms have done so well in the recent past. So yield is something that we are very aggressive looking for us. That becomes like a principal way of getting more publishers on board. The other side is the analytics part of it. I mean, we have great reports because of the data platform. We have tremendous amount of understanding of the audience. This is something we intend to share with you as this is rolled out. The other interesting piece, and you would appreciate that, at least whoever is been sort of sinking their teeth into the native side of things, it's very hard to bring the demand and supply together. I mean, on one side you had the banner world, right, where it was, okay, you create an MREC, you create an innovation, you give it to an exchange or you give it to a publisher and it just works. Native is a hard one. I mean, native, you have all these little text and images that are getting dynamically assembled at various points in time. It's sort of hard for a publisher to aggregate and get all the demand out there. So one of the key aspects of this platform is how do we merge the two? And this is what we are calling it the ad creation piece of our platform, where you go in and you kind of define your various widgets as a publisher, as a demand partner. You come in and you define your sort of physical creative aspects, and we put that together to kind of give you the scale that is available on native. The other aspect, before we sort of go deeper into native, is to understand how the native versus the banner ecosystem is going to play out. And we being in the banner space for the longest time, impact advertising is still our bread and butter and continue to be our bread and butter. It's very interesting for us to understand how the native versus the banner is playing out. And we're all aware that native is gaining. I mean, there's no denying that. Everybody's seen that. I mean, news feeds in Facebook started it. Search has done it before that. Now, the content marketing guys are doing it in a great way. So one interesting aspect that I want to point out there is the actual ad blindness that is kicking in on the banner side, which is one of the reasons why we thought native is a very interesting direction for us to evolve. We are almost seeing, as almost 100 million people in the Indian region or APAC region visit us every month, that people are almost starting to ignore those top RHS, LHS slots. So what is happening is, as the end consumer is getting more and more aware of the advertising industry, the banner performance is dropping. And because of which, what we have done is essentially created this native ad stream format that merged very well with the content. The other thing that is of interest, obviously, is the relevance. I mean, if you look at the native ad piece, on a content side to give relevant content to the user, it's very interesting to the user. If you put a banner that says 50% off, it's disjointed in the sense that he's not connecting that to the rest of the article. So that's one of the couple of findings that sort of led us to kind of go down this route of looking native very seriously over the last year. And it's been almost a year in the making. The other aspect is, if native is big, what is the future standing out like? It's a very interesting question. We've been trying to get our arms around that ourselves. So one of the things to answer that question is to understand how the banner evolved over the last maybe a decade. If native is going to take a share out of that industry, it's very interesting to understand how the banner evolved. Maybe we'll get to understand how the native will evolve. So what we've done is sort of looked at version 1.0 of ad tech. And these were old times, and I'm sure you guys, when you were in the ad network space, we were looking at some level of automated auto booking, we were looking at basic optimization, we were looking at some level of mediation and targeting. So it was old school, sign up a site, get a demand aggregated and pump it down. And today, I don't have to give an explanation around that, but if you look at the RTBs, every impression is getting sold one impression at a time. The whole point of signing up sites is gone. Data is becoming a very important aspect. The dynamic creative is generating such tremendous performance for people. And this has all happened in something like 6 to 8 years. Now, having said that, the tech platforms that all of us have built over the last decade is suddenly available to native as well. So the transition that has happened on display banner in a decade, we are anticipating to have that transition happen in a year. And that gives us that big opportunity where we think that if we can put ourselves right, we can work very closely with you guys. It's no longer a buyer-seller market. We're all jointly figuring out something so that we can get the best ROI for the advertiser. Maybe that's how native would evolve. And this evolution is going to happen driven by technology, maybe in a year, because all those pieces, all the DSPs, all the RTBs, all the DCO is all ready. It's all waiting for us to just use. And we see native programmatic coming into OpenRTB today. We see the DMP players joining the native bandwagon. We see all the RTBs opening up on the native side. So this transition is already happening. So we see 15, 16 as a very transition year where a lot of this stuff that has happened in display over a decade hits native this year. And we just want to be prepared working with you guys. The other thing is, because native is also very content heavy, so we expect a lot of content generation to get automated, something slightly different from what the banner industry is seeing. We are trying to work with a lot of partners of ours who are looking at content generation in a serious way. That is one additional aspect of native that I think is going to get more and more prominent. If all of this stuff is being driven by technology, I mean, the entire ad tech space, and it continues to be, I mean, we just want to share our perspective of how we see technology impacting the entire native ad tech ecosystem over the next couple of years. So there are a few things that we think are happening. We are saying content is a new banner, and I'm not saying displacing banner, but increasingly becoming important in the industry. And the example there is something like, it's almost like Singapore Airlines would put out a banner saying, okay, here's 50% off for the tickets, right? And that's a banner, and that was sold. Now they're saying, okay, what are the 6 top destinations to see in South Asia or Southeast Asia? And that's the content. It's a very subtle distinction, but it's creating a massive impact on ROI. We're seeing 4x, 5x, 6x returns for the advertiser when they do that stuff. So we are kind of almost saying, hey, is content the new banner? Which is very interesting and profound, especially for a publisher who's been dealing with banner and impact advertising all our lives. The other stuff is data is the new inventory. That's interesting. If you look at what has happened 10 years ago, we were in the ad network space a long time back, and the smartest sales guy would come out there and say, oh, I signed up this site. And it was like the big occasion, right? And it was even bigger than signing up the biggest advertiser. Now, one impression at a time is how things are getting sold. So the concept of inventory is moving, in our opinion, and becoming more data-centric. So right now, people are trying to save their data and say, I can use this data and then reach out to whichever inventory we want. It's a very interesting and profound change that we are seeing in the ecosystem, and we want to be prepared for it. The other is technology and new sales. We see, unfortunately, a lot of not so good looking dudes replacing or at least working with the beautiful people we had in sales a long time back, which is an interesting development, but we are up for it. So we are seeing that the geeks taking over the distribution of sales to a certain extent. I mean, discovery of new advertising opportunities is automated. This stuff is happening as we speak. I mean, a lot of our revenue today is coming out of automated channels. And it's very profound. I think it's changing the organization itself. It's changing the way we are designing our platforms. It's changing the way we are interacting with advertisers. We just thought we'll share it with you. Just to kind of go slightly more detail into technology, just so that we get a perspective on that is, I think at the end, all ad tech is driven by a recommendation engine. So finally, the campaign comes in, we take in the user, we take in the bid, make the recommendation, give it to the user. I mean, that's finally all that is right now across all the top ad tech players, and I'm sure all of you guys would agree. So what we've done is last few years, you said we've revamped our whole ad tech space in Times Internet. We have created a great recommendation engine, which is our core of our technology, and this is the Colombia platform from which we get the name for Colombia Traffic Network. It has, at a high level, a lot of services, if you will. So it takes in things like audience. We have some browsing history of all of you guys. You guys are watching certain things in politics, certain things in shopping, real estate. We're trying to profile you anonymously, obviously. We want to save, it's absolutely anonymous information that we're gathering and trying to understand what is it that you would do next. Similarly, what sites are you visiting? So that's contextual. Ad history, how many times you've seen the ad? Have you clicked on it? Algorithmic stuff like collaborative filtering, how do you actually, if you have clicked something and 10 other people have clicked something, then you guys are in the same pool. Popularity, what's most trending right now? What is Kim doing latest, which everybody is clicking? Social viral, what is trending on Twitter and Facebook? So we have taken all of these services, we sort of put it into our recommendation engine, and when you come on to the Times Internet properties going forward, a lot of these things are sort of creating that smart recommendation only just for you. And that's the core intellectual property that we have developed. I think at certain level, content ads and native is sort of bringing the beauty and the geek. I like this picture as well. What is happening, I think, is the technology and the art of branding is coming together in a very interesting way. And I think all of us need to be prepared for that. I think that's really our perspective at the end of it. So at the end, I just want to say thank you all. I don't want to bore you with a lot of details on the geeky stuff that we have, but Native 2.0 is coming. We want to do business. We want to be in business with you. We want to understand what is it that we can work with you, and this has to be a joint effort. Thanks for your time.